Hello, everyone. The book we're going to be talking about today is darkly brutal. Very much an extreme novel, but also kind of romantic. What? We're going to be talking about all that. But first, I want to remind you that my book of short horror stories called The Things That Happen at Night is now available at the link in the description for only $3. So check it out, buy it, and I hope you enjoy it. Now let's get on with the video. All right, so the book we're going to be talking about today is called The Black Farm by Elias Witherow. And this kind of has a reputation in the horror community as being a very, very brutal, unflinchingly violent, and at times almost sickening kind of a novel. I wouldn't really call it sickening, unless you're not a fan of extreme horror. But it lives up to that reputation, but it's so much more than that. Let me start out by saying that as far as trigger warnings go, take whatever trigger warnings you can think of in your head, pull them out, and just give them all to this book. Okay? Just give this book all the trigger warnings that you can think of, because they're all probably in here at one point. But I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was fantastic. It starts out with a double suicide. So, and you think, well, it can't get any grimmer than that, but you would be wrong. That's right, a man and a woman, Nick and Jess, they're not having the life they thought they would. Everything's kind of falling apart, and they decide to give up the ghosts. They each take a handful of pills, thinking that they're going to go to sleep, pass over into the nothingness and the calm, and be there for eternity. And they couldn't be any more wrong, because they actually find themselves on a place called the Black Farm. The Black Farm, it's one of the most interesting, I think, concepts in a horror novel I've read. It's just one of those things where I look at the author and go, how did you think of that? Because that is it's fantastic. The Black Farm is basically a place almost like a purgatory, but only for people who commit suicide. And the author explains how it came to be. Basically, God and Satan had been arguing for eons about what to do with suicides after they die. God's take was, if there were basically good people before, and then they had a moment of weakness, they shouldn't suffer for eternity in hell. And Satan's argument was, well, taking your own life is like the ultimate sin. You can't be forgiven for it, so they belong to me. And then finally, both he and God, Satan and God, decided to create this place as just for people who commit suicide, so they can go their separate ways and do whatever these gods do, And they leave this place in charge of a monstrous beast called the pig. And God and Satan will not get involved in the affairs of the Black Farm. They leave it solely in the hands of the pig. And the pig has tried to create a world the same way that God had created the earth, But his mind is demented. He's a sick, twisted creature. And so everything comes out in this world that he's trying to create is twisted and sick and demented as well. But Nick finds himself awake after he and his girlfriend take the pills, and he's in the Black Farm. And there are creatures roaming around the Black Farm. There are horrible things, just terrible, horrible, horrific, terrifying. Use some other adjective, but whatever you're thinking of, they are in this place as well. And the thing about this place is that even though they're dead as far as their physical body goes, when they're in the Black Farm, they can feel hunger. They can feel thirst. They have to sleep. And oh yes, they can feel pain. and they will feel a lot of it along with other characters the further you get in this book. But as I said, it's kind of a romantic story because when Nick wakes up, the only thing he's thinking of is Jess, because he knows that if he's there, she has to be there. And he makes it his goal, his quest to find her. He will do whatever is necessary, putting himself in great danger and risk to find his girlfriend, to be with her again, because he feels bad that he didn't stop them from doing this. He should have been more adamant. He should have come up with another solution. He feels that he's failed her in life, and he does not want to fail her in here. If they're going to suffer in this place for eternity, they are going to suffer together. That's his goal. And really, it's a twisted, terrifying love story at its heart. But along the way, both he and Jess and some of the other characters, we are going to see them suffer things in unflinching, brutal fashion. Things that your mind probably couldn't come up with. This author describes them in such a way that you want to flinch and you want to look away, but of course you're reading a book, so you can't really do that. Like a horror movie where you can just, I don't want to see that part. You can't do it reading a book. But it is, some of these things are just frightening and horrific. But I absolutely loved it because it shows the lengths that Nick will go through to find his girlfriend in this place, putting himself in danger of all these creatures and monsters and abominations, really, that roam this place, seeking the humans, seeking what they call the suicidals. And their only purpose seems to be to find suicidals and then torture them in the most heinous ways possible. But here's the thing about the Black Farm. You can die, even though you're already dead. You can die in the Black Farm, but you're deposited right back to be hunted and to be tortured and mutilated and experience pain like you've never felt before. And that's your lot for eternity. There's no escaping the Black Farm. So with these kind of circumstances, even under these kind of circumstances, Nick is determined to find Jess. He is determined not only that if they're going to suffer together, but he believes firmly that there has to be a way off. There has to be a way out of this Black Farm, that maybe he can have kind of a do-over. And I'm not going to go into any spoilers on whether he actually finds Jess or actually whether they actually do escape, because there is one scene in the book where you think they just might, and then something happened and that part of the book broke my heart. It almost broke me. It did. They were so close. But it's a fantastically brutal book. It really is. It deserves all the praise it's getting for its extreme nature, but I don't think it gets enough credit for the underlying narrative going along with it, which is just a fantastic story, a twisted, sadistic fairy tale love story for adults is what it's basically what this is. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. I had no issues with any of the extreme stuff, because, like I said, it put the emphasis on Nick's journey to find Jess and basically how far will he go for love, right? It was a great book. It's a great book, of course, I highly, highly recommend it. The Black Farm. I will leave a link down below so you can purchase it for yourself on Amazon. I'll also leave a link down below to my book of short horror stories, The Things That Happen at Night. You can get that at the link in the description for just $3. I hope you do, and I hope you enjoy it. And as always, thank you for taking some of your time spending it here with me. I really, really appreciate you guys watching. Thank you. And until we meet again, keep reading spooky, my friends.